Wuthering Waves 3.0 is finally here, and with it comes our introduction to the brand new region of Lahai-Roi. Now I know a lot of you might be wondering, does it live up to the greatness that was Rinascita, and is it worth playing for both newcomers as well as returning players? Well, as someone who has played Wuwa since day one, I'm here to break it all down today and share my thoughts on 3.0 and whether it lives up to the hype and expectations. Before I elaborate on each of the main areas I want to cover, I'll say straight up that 3.0 takes a lot of the things that Wuwa improved upon in 2.x and makes them even better. So to answer the question, yes, Wuwa 3.0 is amazing and absolutely worth playing. So let's dive in and see how exactly Kuro has managed to outdo itself once again, starting off with the presentation of Lahai-Roi. As a disclaimer, there might be minor spoilers, but I'll try my best to avoid talking about any major plot points in the story. Lahai-Roi is the new region hidden under the icy fields of the Royal Frostlands and is where Startorch Academy is located, where Rover is headed to next after the events in Honami City. Before Kuro revealed the 3.0 trailer in teasers, I honestly expected Lahai-Roi to be a desolate and dark region with post-apocalyptic vibes, but boy was I wrong, and not in a bad way. When Rover first arrives in Lahai-Roi, we meet the new character Lene and are immediately thrown into an epic chase sequence, and holy cow is it absolute cinema. Not only do we get to try out the new Expedition motorbike straight away, but the game wastes no time in showing us what sort of ride we are in for, no pun intended. Soon after, we get a stunning look of Startorch Academy and the surrounding vista, and as we make our way to the academy, we are then greeted with gorgeous views of the surrounding area, the wildlife, as well as the people, all accompanied by a beautiful song in the background. What a way to introduce the new region. This honestly tops the Rinascita introduction for me, and I didn't think that was possible, but somehow Kuro has done it. Startorch Academy itself is futuristic and vibrant, populated with students who are all there in the pursuit of scientific discovery, and Kuro does an amazing job in conveying this through the design and architecture of the school. Startorch Academy is exactly what I imagine a futuristic sci-fi themed school to look like. What is even more impressive is that Lahai-Roi doesn't just nail the sci-fi either. The region has so many diverse areas that offer something for everyone, from the more futuristic areas of the Academy and Research Institute to the dry and arid sands of the Marlborough Desert to the whimsical forests of the Biatio Woods for those of you who still want some of that fantasy. In short, Lahai-Roi is very cool and feels completely different from the regions we've explored before, but not in a way that feels strange or out of place at all. Speaking of which, the Cyberpunk collab is coming soon, and it will be very interesting to see what Kuro is cooking with that, because in my opinion, Lahai-Roi doesn't really scream cyberpunk. It feels futuristic for sure, but not in the sort of dystopian or depressing way that is often associated with the cyberpunk aesthetic. I also want to point out that Lahai-Roi feels more populated and less empty than Rinascita did for me, and I'm not sure whether this is intentional or if it's because of the different vibe of the new region, but I'm really glad for it. Even the NPCs seem more interactive, and little details like this go a long way into making the world feel more alive and connected. Equally important to the visuals is the audio design, and I think Kuro did not disappoint. The music that accompanies each area of the new region fits perfectly. For example, the synths and lighter electronic instrumentation of the sci-fi settings highlight that sense of discovery and wonder, while the flutes and chants in the background of areas like the Beato Woods convey that this is a more tribal and natural place. Kuro has come such a long way with the music since the game launched, and Lahai-Roi is no exception. We even get our own portable radio now, which I'll talk more about when we get to the exploration. Overall, the presentation of the new region is top-notch, and there isn't really anything in particular that I can fault or criticize when it comes to design and how the region feels. However, I can't really talk about presentation without mentioning the performance issues that seem to be plaguing this patch. Maybe it's because the launch patch isn't optimized yet, but I did notice a lot more lag than usual while playing the new update, and it did bog down my experience a bit. I have a decent PC and usually have no issues playing Wuwa, so this was quite a surprise. Hopefully Kuro releases a patch soon to fix some of these performance issues, as I can't imagine what the experience is like for players on older setups, let alone mobile. Anyway, let's move on and talk about the story. I'll avoid spoilers here, but the story is overall very good. Is it as good as the Rinascita arc? I think it's way too early to tell, but I think the introduction to Lahai-Roi and setting up of events is well written and well paced. There are also lots of lore drops that are tied into the greater world of Wuwa, so that's really cool to see. The most impressive part of the story for me, however, is the presentation, which Kuro just continues to elevate and improve. It is more cinematic than ever, and playing through the story literally feels like watching a movie. Most of the cutscenes are fully animated, and characters, including NPCs, show a range of expressions and poses which they really don't need to do, but it just shows how committed the devs are in showing, not telling, and how much effort they put into the presentation. The result is that the story is engaging, easy to follow, and keeps things interesting even during more monotonous or dialogue-heavy parts. The new characters, especially Lene, are also well integrated into the story and not in a way that feels forced. I'm also glad that the story isn't just another waifu force for Rover Part 10, the way a lot of Wuwa haters love to say, so I hope that Kuro keeps this direction and continues to bring more interesting dynamics between the characters. My only real complaint, and this might be a spoiler, is that we don't see Chisa much at all in this quest, even though she's meant to arrive in Lahai-Roi at roughly the same time as Rover, but maybe this will be explained later. Otherwise, I think the story is interesting and enjoyable and serves as a very solid start to the Lahai-Roi arc. Don't forget, we are also getting an Act 2 soon, so there will be more to unpack there. Moving on, let's talk about the exploration and what there actually is to do in 3.0. First things first, I'm just going to say that 3.0 is packed with so much content that we are literally spoiled for choice, and the exploration plays a huge part in that. The Expedition motorbike is the new traversal mechanic for Lahai-Roi, and it is by far my favorite. It is so fun to just ride around and explore, not to mention it has all these extra features like being able to do air tricks, mod the bike, customize its appearance, and it even has its own radio with all your favorite tracks in game. game. If that's not enough, Wuwa also has a collab with Persona and Sonic that adds even more exclusive songs and bike skins to collect. Is it as easy and accessible as being able to fly anywhere? Well, no, but does it feel way more personalized and gives you more of an actual exploration experience? Absolutely. I also like using the autopilot feature when I'm trying to multitask, but sometimes it does take you on a huge detour when you can simply take a shortcut, but you know, the game needs to abide by the road rules at the end of the day. The bike also does have a tiny bit of clunk to it, but I think this makes exploring even more fun, oddly enough, as you kind of have to figure out how to do certain maneuvers or jumps to try and get over trickier areas. There are some instances where it's frustrating trying to reach certain areas that you could otherwise easily do by flying, but this doesn't take away from just how much more fun and dynamic the motorbike is, and I'm obsessed with it. Speaking of which, the racing challenges also feel more enjoyable than the flight challenges from Rinascita, as they do require you to make some level of effort. As for the rest of the exploration, I think Kuro has taken on the feedback about it feeling maybe too much like ticking off a checklist or being handed to the player where it takes away from some of the freedom and discovery. So instead, they packed the new 3.0 map with hidden chests and activities that you have to go and find yourself. The progress compass is still there for players who want a basic guide, but for completionists, you will have to use the loot mapper and actually roam around. This, combined with the fact that you can't just fly anywhere and easily pick up everything, actually makes exploring way more fun and adventurous, but not to the point where it feels cumbersome or tedious, since you can still do most of the traversing with your motorbike. Honestly, it's the best of both worlds. The puzzles and challenges of Lahai-Roi also offer something new and different, but it isn't really anything too crazy. For example, the Solar Skin challenges require you to find lost Solar Skins, who are basically the native Pokemon of the Bartier Woods, and bring them back to the giant Solar Skin so that new ones can be born. Some of these do require you to figure out their movement pattern to catch them, so I think it's nice that they aren't completely straightforward. The Smart Print cube puzzles are also pretty unique and fun to do, although I think I still prefer the color matching puzzles. Overall though, I'm really happy with the exploration and definitely think it's a step up from Rinascita. Even if I don't want to explore and do things, it's actually so nice to just drive around, see the sights, and listen to the amazing music the game has to offer, and this isn't really something we could do before. Now let's talk about events. There's quite a lot to do here, but that is expected of a 0.0 version update. Besides the regular exploration events, we have things like Operation Frontier Renewal, where you have to go around, collect materials, and reconstruct the road network of Lahai-Roi, and this is a nice little activity that actually ties into the world building. It also has a nice new user interface and map of the region, which is pretty cool. The fan favorite Peaks of Prestige event is also back with new mechanics and cards to collect, so I'm sure a lot of players will be happy to sink their teeth into that. For those of you who want more combat events, we also have a new Dreamless Tactical Hologram, as well as the brand new Doubled Pawns Matrix Pilot endgame mode to test your skills, and it is definitely challenging. The mode basically requires you to build multiple teams and lets you pick a buff to use with each team as you take on bosses in a particular order. If you want to get all the rewards, you will need to maximize your score in the Singularity expansion mode that gets increasingly more difficult with each boss, so that's definitely something for veteran players to think about and tackle. So as you can see, there's something for everyone here, and I'm just glad that none of the events feel like a chore that you have to mindlessly grind through just to get the airstrike. In conclusion, I think it's safe to say that Kuro has cooked up a 3-star Michelin course with the 3.0 patch, and Wuthering Waves is absolutely worth playing going into 2026. There's actually so much good content, from the exciting new story to the elevated exploration experience to all the new events, that I'm actually trying to pace myself and not get burnt out rushing to do everything at once. I know some of you watching this video might not really be into gacha games or might think that they're just gambling with no substance, but trust me, Wuwa is one of the few that actually puts the game first before the gacha. Even if you are a free-to-play player, there is a lot to enjoy here, so why not give it a go? That is all for today. I hope you're all enjoying 3.0 and Lahai-Roi as much as I am, and as always, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching and have a great day.